So we're diving into Lean Six Sigma in the world of finance. It's taking something designed for making things, in factories and stuff, and using it to make financial institutions better.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how it's shaking things up. Finance needs to be both fast and accurate, and this approach tries to tackle both.
It's like fine-tuning a race car. Everything needs to be running perfectly to get that competitive edge. Only this time, it's not a car, it's like the whole financial system.
And instead of winning a race, we're talking about fewer errors, faster transactions, and happier customers. Those are wins everyone wants.
Right. It sounds kind of obvious when you put it like that. Less time fixing mistakes, things moving more smoothly. Who wouldn't want that? Especially with all the regulations in finance, I bet this helps with that too.
Absolutely. One of the best examples is what JPMorgan Chase did with new accounts. Opening a new account used to be such a drag, taking a whole week.
Ugh, I can imagine. Having to wait like that would be the worst.
Well, they used Lean Six Sigma and got it down to a single day.
No way. A single day. That's amazing. How'd they swing that?
By really digging into the process and finding the holdups. They realized that customers just want a fast and easy experience, so they took out all the unnecessary steps.
So it's about figuring out what really matters and focusing on that.
Exactly. It's not just about speed, but the right kind of speed.
Oh.
And it's not one size fits all either. Look at Bank of America. They had a ton of errors in their mortgage processing.
Oof. Yeah, mortgages are already a headache on a good day.
Right. So they used Lean Six Sigma to analyze their entire system and figure out what was going wrong. Turns out a lot of it was because of things like having to enter the same information over and over again by hand.
So, like, totally avoidable errors if they just knew where to look.
Exactly. They streamlined the process and managed to cut down errors by 25%.
That's huge. It really seems like using data to understand the problems is at the heart of this.
Absolutely. Data is key. It's not enough to just want to improve. You need data to tell you what to improve and how much. It's all driven by solid numbers.
It's about making things measurably better. I like that. Now, I keep seeing this term DMAIC. What's the deal with that? It sounds kind of mysterious.
It's simpler than it sounds, I promise. It stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Basically, it's a 5-step plan to attack any problem.
Okay, a roadmap I can get behind that. So let's say we're trying to make those international wire transfers less prone to mistakes. How would we use DMAIC?
First, you'd figure out exactly what the problem is. In this case, too many errors in international wire transfers. Then you measure everything you can about those errors. How often are they happening? What kind of errors are they? You need to understand what's going on.
So really getting into the nitty-gritty before you try to fix anything.
Yeah, you've got to know what you're dealing with before you can fix it. So once you've gathered all that data on the wire transfer errors, you need to analyze it. Figure out what's actually causing them. Is it typos? System glitches? Bad handwriting? You got to find the root of the problem.
Like some kind of financial detective.
Haha, exactly. Then comes the fun part, figuring out how to fix it. That's the improve phase.
So if it turns out people are just messing up the account numbers, maybe you make everyone double check, or even better, automate more of the process.
Exactly. You want to target your solution to the specific problem. And once you've made those changes, you don't just walk away. You have to make sure those improvements actually stick, which is where that last step, control, comes in.
Right. You don't want those errors creaking back in.
Exactly. You might do regular checks, set up alerts, or even have training programs so everyone is on the same page.
Like building a safety net to keep those errors from happening again.
I like that. Now, DMAIC is great, but it's not the only tool in the Lean Six Sigma arsenal. Remember that Citigroup example? They wanted to streamline their loan approvals.
Oh, right. They use something called value stream mapping. I'll be honest, that one sounds a bit intimidating.
It's not so bad once you break it down. Imagine drawing a map, but instead of streets and buildings, it's every single step in the loan approval process.
So you're basically making a flow chart of how things actually work.
Exactly. And that's where the real value comes in, because you often find all these hidden bottlenecks, things that are slowing down the whole process for no good reason.
Oh, like when you're stuck in traffic and it turns out there's construction 2 miles ahead, but nobody told you.
That's a great way to put it. For Citigroup, they found all these unnecessary approvals and extra checks that were just bogging things down.
Adding time and complexity without actually making things better.
Exactly. By getting rid of those roadblocks, they sped up their loan approvals by 30%.
Wow, that's huge. Those customers must have been thrilled. It really shows how important it is to understand how things actually work, not just how you think they work.
Couldn't agree more. And these tools, DMAIC and value stream mapping, work even better together. like having a detective and a map maker working side by side.
Love that analogy. Okay, so we've got our detective, our map maker. What other tools are in this Lean Six Sigma toolbox?
Well, we can't forget about statistical process control, or SPC for short. This one might sound a bit more technical.
Yeah, that one definitely brings the stats to mind.
It does, but think of it as a super sensitive alarm system for your processes. It helps you spot problems early on before they become big disasters.
Like a financial smoke detector.
Exactly. So say you're keeping track of how long it takes to process a trade. SPC lets you set up these charts that show you how long it should take and then alert you if things start taking longer than usual.
So if there's a sudden spike in processing time, you know something is fishy.
Exactly. And just like with that smoke detector, catching it early lets you put out the fire before it spreads. You can figure out what's causing the delay and fix it.
It's all about being proactive.
Precisely. And speaking of proactive, we can't forget about the elephant in the room when it comes to finance, risk, and regulations.
Right. It's not exactly an industry known for taking it easy on the rules.
You got that right. But here's the thing about Lean Six Sigma. It's not just about speed and efficiency, it's also about creating processes that are super reliable. And that actually makes staying compliant a lot easier.
Hold on. So this whole thing designed to make things more efficient can actually help with all the red tape too. How does that work?
Well, remember how we talked about standardization being important? Lean Six Sigma encourages you to have the same process for things, no matter who's doing it or where.
So instead of everyone doing their own thing, there's one clear way of doing it.
Exactly. And that's great for compliance because it reduces the chances of someone accidentally breaking the rules.
So it's like instead of the auditors finding a mess, they're seeing a well-organized system where everything has its place.
Exactly. And that means fewer headaches for everyone. Plus, it's not just about making the auditors happy. When you have these clear, standardized processes, you're much less likely to have errors, fraud, or compliance issues in the first place.
It's like you're building in a safety net from the ground up.
Exactly. You're designing for success from the start. And a perfect example of this is HSBC. They use Lean Six Sigma to standardize their Know Your Customer procedures, the KYC stuff.
Oh, right. KYC. That's all about making sure you know who you're doing business with. Right. No funny business going on.
Exactly. You need to know your customers aren't involved in anything illegal or shady. It's a huge part of compliance in finance. And by standardizing those KYC processes across the board, HSBC cut their compliance breaches by a full 20%.
Wow, 20%. That's a big difference. So they're saving money, reducing risk. It's win-win.
Exactly. And remember how we were talking about that DMAIC thing, how it includes risk assessment? Well, Lean Six Sigma takes that even further by building risk management right into the processes themselves.
So you're not just fixing mistakes after they happen, you're trying to stop them from happening at all.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture where everyone is thinking about risk and how to minimize it.
So it's not just a Band-Aid, it's like a vaccine for your whole organization, protecting it from making those mistakes. Okay, I'm sold on the idea, but let's talk practicalities. How does this actually impact the bottom line?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is the financial benefits are often huge and easy to measure. For one thing, you save a lot of money because you're making fewer errors.
Makes sense. Fewer errors means less time and money spent fixing them.
Exactly. Plus, streamlining processes often means you're spending less on operations in general. Think of all the wasted time and effort that goes into unnecessary approvals or doing things manually.
But it's like cutting out all the unnecessary steps.
Precisely. You're working smarter, not harder. And those savings add up fast. Remember the American Express example? They use Lean Six Sigma in their billing department.
What happened? Did they save money?
They saved $10 million a year.
Whoa, $10 million? Okay, now you're speaking my language. And I'm guessing those savings can then be used to make even more improvements, right? It's a virtuous cycle.
Precisely. And it's not just about saving money. Lean Six Sigma can actually help you make more money, too.
Really? How so?
Think about it. When you make things faster and easier for customers, they're happier. Like JPMorgan Chase with their one-day account opening.
Yeah, that's way better than waiting a whole week.
Exactly. Happy customers are more likely to stick around and tell their friends, which means more business for you.
It's like the difference between shopping at a disorganized, chaotic store and one where everything is streamlined and easy to find.
Exactly. And it's not just about customer experience. When you have these efficient processes in place, you can bring new products and services to market much faster.
So you're ahead of the curve, always one step ahead of the competition.
Precisely. It's about working smarter, not harder. and getting things done faster without sacrificing quality or compliance.
So Lean Six Sigma really is like this secret weapon that can help financial institutions save money, and stay out of trouble.
Well, it's not much of a secret anymore, but it's definitely a powerful tool for any organization looking to thrive in today's world.
So for those listening who are now thinking, I need some of this Lean Six Sigma in my life, where do they even begin?
The good news is you don't have to do everything at once. Start small, pick one process that needs improvement, and give it a try.
Dip your toes in the water before you dive in head first.
Exactly. And of course, make sure your team has the training and support they need. You can't just throw them in the deep end without teaching them how to swim first.
Right, knowledge is power. And what about technology? It seems like it could play a big role here.
Absolutely. Technology can be a game changer, especially when it comes to things like data analysis and automation.
It's like giving your team superpowers. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from streamlining processes to navigating regulations, and it's clear that Lean Six Sigma can have a huge impact on the financial industry. But it makes you wonder, could these same principles be applied to our personal finances? Could we use these tools to optimize our budgets, streamline our investments, or even map out our career goals? That's something to ponder. Until next time.